Rich, we're gonna be famous across the entire galaxy.
Or maybe just disgusting. I mean, what does that even mean? Fine. Also, you'll notice the Indian princess on the left says they'll be known throughout the galaxy for this bounty. Unlike the anime, the manga makes no bones about being a full-on sci-fi, and gets much more bizarre and fantastical throughout than the anime ever does. In fact, the opening prologue to the books describes humanity's descent to Gunsmoke and the surreal Lost July incident, which isn't going to come up here until episode 6. Another thing the manga doesn't make any bones about is Vash's superpowers. Actually, there's a world of difference between the tone and characterization of the manga and the anime, even when the events are the same. And now that we're into the overlapping material, you're going to hear me blabbing a lot about it. I'll save a lot of it for next episode and only pick out the major details here, but for one quick minor one, Vash is a lot cockier and snarkier earlier in the manga.
Give it up! With the exception of this guy, I'm afraid you've used up all your bullets already.
Duh! I don't understand. How could you tell?
I counted.
After the bandits strip and take their walk of shame into the desert, Manga Vash complains that he didn't really want to see that, but he appreciates them leaving their gear. While Anime Vash feels a little guilty that they went so far and hopes they won't catch a chill without their clothes. Anyway, the townsfolk reward him for his heroics with pancakes and the threat at gunpoint. No good deed, I guess.
Oh my gosh! Half the city is buried in sand. Their plant probably broke down and stopped working. Well, then they should fix it.
Do you have any idea how much repairs to a plant that size can cost?
Why? Is it expensive?
No, we soon discover they may have good reason for hunting down Vash. So now the plant has become a plot point, and its true nature will be explored more in the following episode. For now, we'll say the plant is used as a terraforming agent, and without it, the city loses its natural resources like water, and has no protection from the savage environment.
This time we will find the real Vash the Stampede and bring about his downfall.
Ha 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 ha, segue. This is a pretty wild little chase sequence, and it's more akin to the manga's hyperactive, irreverent sense of humor than anything we've yet seen. Particularly that nice little juxtaposition with Vash praying for a rescue while a church bell rings after it's been leveled by a bazooka. Meryl parachutes down. Wow, this is a pretty hardcore insurance company. Actually, they are more like a government agency in the manga, which might explain all this gear. As they face the terror of... Barney Fife and his hammy acting. Don't worry, he's okay, and we'll be back to kill the mood with scenery munching much later. Meryl demands the citizens stop fighting, and of course no one listens. It's Meryl. I wouldn't either. So she asks to speak to the man in charge, and we get another really clever little transition.
Let me see the man in charge! How can you allow this to happen? This is an outrage!
Okay, did you catch that? Cut! Not that. For you film nerds out there, there was a really snappy little triple edit. Whenever possible, it's good to cut based on content, so that the scenes lead into each other if you're an editor. I like that little downfall joke we got a couple minutes ago. We see Meryl yelling at the mayor through a megaphone, and then cut to the cat freaking out, as if it was from the loud noise, but it wasn't Meryl's yelling, it was something with a monstrously large hand tromping through town. Then we cut back to Meryl, who slams her hand down onto a miniature version of the city. Almost a little bit of foreshadowing, but also a content-based cut. It's blink and you miss it, but very clever. Meryl tells the mayor that she understands why they need the money, but going after Vash is more trouble than it's worth if it destroys the dying city in the process. The mayor replies that at this point it doesn't matter anyway.
I thought we should fight fire with fire, so that's when I called in our last resort.
And sir, just what is our last resort?
That.
Can somebody tell me who or what that is?
It's the Nebraska family!
All right, who's the idiot that parked this car here? Are you trying to make my son trip or what?
Okay, first of all, guess whose voice that is?
Just a humble bounty hunter, ma'am.
Bingo!
Yeah, believe it or not, that's Steve Bloom playing Old Man Nebraska. He's kind of famous for his badass voice, but Bloom has an incredible amount of range, so if you keep your ears open for his many other weirder voices, you'll hear him pretty much everywhere.
The infamous Nebraska family. Convicted felons of over 150 Class A offenses and... Tell me you're not gonna sick that big oaf on Vash the Stampede now.
Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
So, while Meryl proceeds to break the mayor's neck as punishment for such pure stupid, a little girl named Sandy arrives shouting that they've caught the outlaw, and Govsef wastes no time in rushing to where he's been cornered. Vash is currently being held at gunpoint by the housewives of April, and rather than find it funny, like I do, Vash seems to realize that this must really mean serious business.
Bounty hunters in aprons? Huh? Wouldn't want children to see this.
That's right. We don't want them to see this. But we have no other choice. We desperately need money.
I think this is why the rapid switch between comedy and drama works so well in Trigun. It can flip on a dime, but our hero is pretty sensitive to the mood of the moment. He doesn't act silly when it isn't called for, but he's completely uninhibited when it is timely. So the severe tonal shifts seem natural, provided you're a little used to anime and its tendency to do that a lot anyway. In this case, things have taken a serious turn, and Vash is honestly getting desperate, giving us this extremely intriguing little moment.
I understand your situation better than you know. However...
No, please, sir, don't do that!
until I see this man you're after, I have no choice but to keep moving. Now, please, for the love of God, don't shoot that gun.
Yes, the gold-hearted Vash has a dark side after all, and he is seriously threatening to shoot at these women if they don't let him go. Of course not fatally, but still. There's something he has to do so badly that he will do anything to accomplish it, and it involves finding someone he doesn't seem to be on good terms with. Moreover, we have our first significant dub change. In the original, Vash simply says that there's this man he's looking for and he will not give himself up until he is found. The dub adds the words, "this man you're after," when speaking to Monica, implying a lot if you follow the chain of logic through. Both that he came to this city because he thought the man had been here, and that this man is responsible for breaking the plant and causing all this trouble to begin with. Is it plausible? Yes, very much so, considering Vash's intelligence and this other man's motives. But is it even implied in the original? No, not really, not at all. So I don't think it's a good or bad change, but it's worth noting for the amount of significance two little words, "you're after," added to Vash's sentence.
Everybody get down!
It's clobbering time.
Over there.
Govsef destroys the bar as the townsfolk gape in horror, but a little something quite literally tells us that Vash is okay.
What the hell?
Also, something that will come up far more often when we get into the darker parts of the series is just how much grittier the manga is in content compared to the anime. Apart from a healthy amount of bad language and tragedy, Trigun the anime is barely even PG-13 rated. Compared to Trigun, the manga's very solid R rating. There's not much evidence of the difference yet, but there's a very slight indicator in Govsef's hand doodle. It's in straight English in both versions, not a translation from Japanese, but in the manga it reads, "kiss my ass." While in the anime, they changed it to, "beat me, just do it." Interesting, considering the original viewership for the show isn't going to understand the message in either case, but they still changed it for content. But now the moment we've all been waiting for has come. The moment where Meryl pulls her head out of her rear and admits what she really should have known from episode 1, and probably did know from episode 3, I suspect, but just hasn't wanted to admit it.
That's him. Vash the Stampede.
Meryl, you see, is extremely legalistic and bureaucratic. She likes putting everything in little boxes that she can understand, in keeping with that whole no man can judge theme that we've seen throughout the series. She reaches conclusions about everything very quickly and is just as quick to condemn or dismiss. And Vash is going to continually challenge her perception of him, along with her perception of right and wrong on the whole, developing her more and more as a character. She's finally admitted that Vash is the legendary outlaw, but still thinks he's a complete moron, so it's going to continue to drive her crazy, and she still has a long way to go. And now we have our real reason for all this padding. We know exactly what kind of man Vash is by this point, and why he can be both an angel of mercy and a fearsome outlaw. So his actions are more trademark and heroic than they are confusing or kind of out of the blue. Destruction follows him wherever he goes, but it's because he's hunted by all these monsters that he refuses to fight back against. And through it all, he protects the good, the bad, and the ugly alike from being killed along with himself. In the manga, Meryl's revelation wasn't necessary because this was her first time meeting Vash, and she just instantly recognized him from the wanted posters, which have a picture of his face. And none of this character development for her or Millie took place at all. There is one other reason for all the filler, but first, Nebraska has something to say. Spit.
You know what, Vash? You're nothing but a damn hypocrite! There's no way you haven't had to kill troublemakers somewhere along the line. How do I know? Because nobody can survive what you've been through without hurting somebody. The $60 billion double-dollar bounty on your head is proof of that. Well, what do you have to say for yourself? Vash the Stampede?
I know the easy answer to all of this is, he's Vash the Stampede, bitches, but Nebraska is a brainiac, so it is some solid food for thought. How can Vash possibly have survived this long as a fugitive without killing anyone? And how can he be such a spotless hero when he's wanted for a $60 billion crime? The answer to the first question is underneath his coat and won't come up till much later, but the answer to the second is in the next episode.
Why won't he say anything? Why is he just standing there taking that kind of abuse?
But Barney Fife ruins the moment here, so I'll move on to the second reason Episode 5's events were postponed till this long. After securing the girl's safety, Vash wordlessly challenges Nebraska to a draw, and Nebraska responds by just turning to aim Govsef's fists at the innocent women Vash has just finished moving. What a douche. And for the first time, Vash draws his gun and fires. That's right, despite his reputation as an ace gunman and our suspicions that he is a devil with a firearm, we've never actually seen him fire a gun until this moment. Vash only relies on it as a last resort, and it's a shame because his marksmanship is godlike, and it's a huge payoff to all the gentleness we've seen him exhibit up till now. Watching him just pwn Govsef so effortlessly is amazing. So we end on Vash's ridiculous motto, which will stave off Meryl's romantic urges for a little while longer, and a fittingly final shot of CAT! Instead of moving on to the next town in episodic fashion after this, enough has happened that we'll be staying in Anepro for a while longer, and moving in a more determined direction after that.